Okay. Um, so here I am starting a new video here. In this lesson, this is I think believe part four of our practice. We're gonna add in I'm gonna show you how we're gonna add in data for the pivot tables, which isn't too difficult. Okay. Um, I have some issues with part three of this, entering the data for the movies. I don't know what happened. But for some reason didn't that video it didn't post accurately. So I have to check on that. Um, but it's just entering in the data for the movie table, which essentially is not different from entering data elsewhere. Same thing as pivot tables, but I just want to get us started. Okay. So let's I'm gonna work on the streaming platform for these. Okay. So in other words, what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, hey, this movie is on these particular streaming platforms. So when we first started looking at MySQL and relational tables, and we talked about these three rules that govern how we enter data into a database in these tables. Remember, one rule was um, that there is no repeating data, right? And anytime we have like repeating data, then we want to figure out a different way. Maybe it means that we have to create another table uh, to enter data. Other rule was that um, each table has a unique identifier, which is what essentially we call a primary key. Okay. And the other rule was that there cannot be, you can only have a single entry inside of a cell. Okay. So in the case of movies, when it comes to, say, genre or streaming platform, matter of fact, I'm going to do genre instead, movie to genre. But in the case of like movies and genres, if you will, we know that movies may qualify, be classified into more than one genre. Okay. And so what we can't do inside of the database is say, hey, the genre is comedy, comma, drama, comma, sci-fi or something like that. That won't work. Okay. So what we do is we create these pivot tables. And a pivot table is a way of connecting two separate tables when, say, one entry, if you will, in a table could be classified multiple ways in another table. That's my best way of describing that off the top of my head. So let's look at the genre. So here we have our genre. Okay. And I know I added a few in there. So the numbers are going to be a little bit off compared to this data model, but we'll use our table in the database to help us out. And then we have our movie to genre. Uh, we have that table here. So in order for me to and do this correctly, what I'm going to need to do, here I'm in my movie database. What I need to do is I need to pull up both the genres and the titles for the movies. Okay, because I'm gonna have to kind of go back and forth looking at those to make sure that I'm entering the data incorrectly. So how do I do that? I'm gonna say select genre. I'm gonna say select all from genre. I'm gonna have that up. So there I have the genre ID, which I'm going to need, and the genre as well. So I have all those. And then I'm also going to say select movie ID, and I just need the title um, from movie. And so there I have an issue. Ooh, the lolly. What is this? What happened with these IDs? Let's see. Tisk tisk. What do we do? Select all from movie. Looks like we got an issue here that I was not expecting. I don't know how that happened, but we're going to fix it. So if you look here with my movies, I have listed the it's the first movie ID is 1, somehow skipped 2. I don't know what I did. And it went all the way to 16. So we got to fix that. Okay. So great. Let's fix that. I actually, if I don't have it here, I don't have it here, but I know in a previous file that I did, project I was working on, I'm going to come over here, open folder, and I'm going to open up, let's see. Where do I know? I believe I have it in my album 25. I'm going to open up that database, that there. And yep, so I have it right here. I got that I keep saved. So a lot of times when you have a code that you're going to need at any time, it's nice to have it stored away somewhere, okay, that you know you can locate it. So I have this piece of code right here um, that will reset my auto increment. So in other words, what it's going to do is it's going to fix this issue that I have where where I go from 1 to 16. I don't know how I did that, but it happened. So I got the code right here, and I'm just going to rewrite this right here, and then I'm going to drop it into my SQL server. So I'm going to say set. If you don't have this issue, don't worry about it. So I'm going to say set num equals 0, and then I'm going to update. I'm going to update the movie table. So I'm going to say update movie set ID, or set movie underscore ID equal to num this stuff. Basically just again, this is resetting my auto increment. So I'm starting off at setting, well, num is at 1, and I'm going to update the table set ID to be num plus 1. So each one is going to, well, the first one is going to start at 1, and then it's going to count down. Yeah, it's going to work. Alter table movie, and then auto increment is 1. Okay, so this should work. Let's see. I'm going to copy that right there. Bring it over here and paste it. Hit enter. Okay. And now if I say select, what was it, title, or the movie ID, and title from movie, and there's fixed it. Great. Okay, so I got that up, and let me pull the genre up. So I'm gonna say select genre ID and genre from genre. Cool, 25. There you go. I don't know how I did that, but it happened. So, the good thing is I knew how to go about fixing it. So let me pull my movie database back up. Okay, here we are. And you know what? I'm gonna make a new file. This would be no, not there. Right here. That's what I'm gonna do it. Notes.txt, and I'm gonna place that code in there in my notes file, so I can have that just in case. And again, like stuff like that, you want to keep it handy, just in case you have an issue like I just had. All right. All right. So now that I got that, I have the movie ID and the title, which I'll need, and the genre ID and the genre. I will need that as well. And then we're going to insert this data into our movie to genre table, which we have over here. We created movie to genre, and we can see that the movie to genre table takes in the movie ID and the genre ID from the movie and genre table. So how's that going to look? It's going to look like this. I'm going to say insert into movie to genre, open parentheses. I'll start with the movie ID and then the genre ID. Values. Okay, so the movie ID, Sharknado, which has an ID of 1. Okay, so 1, and then it is an action movie. Okay, so I could say 1 1. Why am I saying 1 1? Because the movie ID is 1. The genre is an action movie. Action has an ID of 1. So that's why I say 1 and 1. Um, let's see. It is also a B movie. Okay, so B movie has an ID of 4. So here I'm going to say 1 for Sharknado and then 4 for B movie. I mean, add 3, 4 genres, and that'll be fine. Let's see. Sharknado is a B movie. I mean, kind of comedy, not really. Uh, I would say a horror movie. So 15, and then I guess I can add 20 for sci-fi. So 1 again for Sharknado, and then I said what, 14? No, 15. 15 for horror, and then 1, and then sci-fi, which has an ID of 20. Okay, so here we so we gave it 4 genres. Was this action, B movie, horror, and sci-fi? The first value is going to be 1 for each one of them because it's all referring to Sharknado. And then the second value will be whatever the genre is. So now going to 2. 2, which is Shrek. Okay. Shrek is an adventure, it's animated, it's comedy. I mean, you can also, probably say fantasy, you can say rom-com even. Like, that's the thing about genres. I'm not a big person on genre. Generally, I don't believe in genre. But I understand. I understand the language. I could talk the talk, but because it could qualify for so many things. So we'll say adventure. So that has an idea too. Um, let's see. We said adventure animated, which is 3. Comedy, which is 7. And we'll do one more fantasy, because all those little creatures and stuff. Fantasy was 12. And this is how you do it all the way down. So what you will do is you'll go through each movie and give it certain genres, whichever one that it pertains to. 3 is Black Dynamite. Action. So 3, 1. The It is a biography. It's the story of me. Comedy. So 3 and 7. Oh, I don't need to be looking here. I need to be looking here. I could have added like martial arts to this, but I didn't. As another genre. Oh, satire. So 19. So 3 and 19. And I'll stop there. Okay. So what you'll want to do is, again, go through each movie and apply the appropriate genre with that movie. Again, the data that we entered in the videos is going to be different than what we've added in the data model, because I know that I added a couple of genres to the genre table. Okay, so you won't want to use the data model for this in particular. It's going to throw it off a little bit. Okay, what you want to do is actually apply the correct genre. So maybe if you will go to a source like, say, IMDb, if you will, that'd be the best source to go to. IMDb, give me $1. That'd be the best source to go to fill this out correctly. Okay. And once you do that, I mean, you apply everything else the same. You put your semicolon at the end, copy it, paste it, and then move on to the next pivot table. So you want to get all the pivot tables done. Okay. The actor table is going to take you quite a while because you're attaching each actor to whichever movie they were in. And I think those that one will be fine. If you use the data model for that one, you should be okay applying the movie to the actor. Yeah, that's what you want to do. Okay. So please, when it comes to these videos that I'm posting here on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, follow and subscribe, like, share, comment, all that kind of stuff like that, so that I can get a producer who can handle the issues that I'm having when it comes to the videos not being shown in its entirety, cutting it off after 15 seconds. Like, what's up with that? They want to look at his face for longer than 15 seconds. Hello. Anyways, I'll see you all the next side.